cause, we sprayed with Corexit. So this is not a joke. We have a product that is completely non-toxic, that works apparently just as well as Corexit, but you could eat it, you could drink it, it's not going to hurt you. And we can have multiple containers of this where we can get up to maybe even 20 rounds of water that we put in, and then we blend the foam inside the tank of the aircraft, so we can do multiple runs with firefighting foam. This is simply something that we must have.
Almost smells like a vanilla cake.
And again, we have a very interesting order that's come in. 6 of these firefighting aircraft, and we've already signed the deal. The deal is official. We hope the investor is going to perform.
Oh, okay.
And it seems like he will. He is out of Australia. I guess that might be a little bit too much to say, but I'm willing to say that. So after the Palisades fire, the need for something like this has never been greater. And the order of our firefighting aircraft is bundled into a much larger contract. I won't go into detail, but the whole contract is, sizably larger than the percentage of it that goes to our airplanes. So the first tranche that we're expecting, which could be in as little as 8 days, is supposedly $42 million. And, this is going to launch our company. It may even come in before the $10 million loan. So from that proceed, we will be able to, close out all of our debts, including my debts. Everybody on the board has now been made aware that, David is 7 figures in debt. He's $1.1 million in debt to the IRS. So all that's going to be canceled out. It's not like I'm going to get rich, but I got to tell you, knowing now how close this is and that this is really going to happen is a very good thing. So after the fires in the Palisades, we posted something about the firefighting aircraft and how these aircraft are far less expensive than the C-130. They hold more capacity, and we need to build these like crazy because wildfire risk keeps on going. So our dedicated troll had this to say on our X page. Lilith, mother of demons. Nothing like exploiting a recent tragedy for investments. Good for you. So as I'm saying here, nothing says credibility quite like calling yourself Lilith, mother of demons. That's obviously somebody you want to listen to. But again, this is like the same person. He keeps doing all this stuff. We've already spoken to people in Hollywood. They've never seen anybody get trolled as bad as I've been trolled. This is literally a world historic level of intensity that is unprecedented by any of the top celebrities in the field. And if you're going to start threatening people in a military company or anybody with death, and you say that you're from a foreign power and that we're going to blow you up, the accusation was that we were supplying Ukraine with weapons. We haven't sold anything to anyone. We're still raising money, and we are not supplying Ukraine with weapons. In fact, it's a deterrent if we were to do anything with them for a lot of other countries, and so we're probably never going to do anything with them. But anyway, we got this crazy threat, and all you have to do is go on Google and say, what's the punishment for terrorism? It's a Class A felony. It's the highest felony there is. 16 to 60 years in prison and a fine of $50,000. Well, that's not a big fine, but 16 minimum. And if he actually were to kill somebody, then it's life in prison or the death penalty. State domestic terrorism laws in the United States.
We've been lied to. This is the worst I've ever seen it. This is a place where people are so angry, so frustrated, so fearful, because the game has changed. We got this inflation that's massive. We got people afraid AI is going to take away their job. And also, the story we were told, that's the lie that makes me so mad. You're supposed to work hard, go to school, get a degree, go to work for a big company, and then work really hard. You'll move up, and you'll have a great time, and you'll eventually retire.
So, dude, this is really serious. It's kind of amazing that somebody is so dedicated to this that they're willing to do Class A felonies where the minimum sentence is 16 years in prison. But that's already happened. And so, I feel really sorry for this guy. I think he wasn't loved enough as a child. I don't know why he's been so hateful to me for 7 years. It just never stops. So God bless you, Stephen. God bless you, man. I'm sorry for whatever people did to you that hurt you, that you want to come after me, but we do have to defend ourselves. You've made it impossible for us not to. So we've already made complaints with the federal agencies. We've already made police complaints. We're working up a big evidence dossier. And obviously, because of the severity of these threats, I am obligated to report them publicly.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to go that far, we do not want to try to cover this up or keep it secret. It's very, very, very serious. So at the same time, we have much bigger deals coming in after Chinese New Year. That's what we've been waiting for. It's like January 29th or something like that. The good part is that even though the negatives created delays, the magic is still happening. So I'm asking you now, I haven't done this before, but our two official pages would be Stavati Arrow and David_Wilcock. That's where we are on X. So please follow us on these, because I don't ever promote the Stavati page. I haven't promoted our Stavati page in the past hardly at all. And we want you to care as much as our enemies do. So if we only get like 4 comments and one of them is Lilith, Mother of Demons, and we're trying to save the world with a firefighting aircraft and we're accused of profiting off of a catastrophe, no, it's like, this would be a really good thing to have so that this kind of stuff doesn't keep happening. So again, we want you to care as much as our enemies do, so go to Stavati Arrow and David_Wilcock, subscribe, and if you ever see wild, toxic hatred on the page, then you know where it's coming from. There's no reason to think it's anybody else. This guy has very consistently demonstrated a pattern, and, you know, I don't know what else to do here except we got to move forward with the federal government and with terrorism charges, and it's a big, big deal. We're getting at least 2 attorneys involved in this, and he is going to receive a lawsuit. There's no question whatsoever. We've gone way too far down the road. The only reason it hasn't already happened simply is we could not afford it. That's really all it was. But we've already put together a lot of evidence, and we're working up the dossier. We are in contact with federal agencies, and it is moving forward. So you're going to learn about all this stuff coming up. You're going to find out everything. I don't know what else to do. You know, we can't just ignore it. Obviously, it's very, very bizarre and very scary, but, you know, whatever. Okay, so congratulations. You ruined a bunch of our deals. You kept me poor for a really, really long time. Congratulations. But, you know, we're going to do what we have to do. Anyway, at the same time, I want to say the election result has been incredibly good for us, and the inauguration happened without incident, which I'm very happy about.
Good,
We were
thank
warned
you.
that attempts at
Squirrels are back. The seagulls ate all their bread. Good, thank you. We're just gonna read for a little bit.
Listening with the Third Ear. One of our favorite books. Oh, we marked a page earlier, actually, 249. $247. What we experience is a twofold surprise: amazement at the significance entering into the physical data, which at first seemed puzzling, bizarre, or absurd, and amazement at what went on in our own mind, enabling us to penetrate their hidden meaning. I confess that for me this is one of the fascinating rewards, one of the silent triumphs of my psychoanalytic labors. To all of us, we follow the trail of unconscious relations in analysis. There comes a feeling like that of Max Lieberman at the first night of Hauptmann's Rose Burned. Those who sat next to the old artist, attentively following the presentation of human destinies on the stage, heard him murmuring, admiringly, "How it works!" Something of this amazement remains with an analyst who has followed unconscious physical processes for many years. Like every scientific investigator, he has learned to discern the variety and wealth of organic processes and recognizes how, in spite of great freedom, they obey unchangeable laws. Psychoanalysis and Wit. It's chapter 22. 12. I'm not good with Roman numerals. Psychoanalysis is not a cheerful science. No Gaia Scienza in the meaning of, I have a hard time with this name, Necesi. Nietzsche. Is it Nietzsche? Thank you. Nietzsche. Nietzsche's, how do you say it? New questions arise, difficulties pile up, tragedy looms. Yes, as we saw in the last chapter, analytic conjecture parallels the mental process involved in hearing a joke. Dreams, a major source of data in analytic work, often sound like bad jokes. An American patient of mine had a dream about a variety of incidences in a Venice hotel. In the center of them was the figure of Metternich. The manifest content of the dream gives the impression of order and sense. The patient has few associations with it. The only striking feature in the forefront of the dream was the appearance of Metternich. What is the Austrian statesman doing in the dream of an American businessman? He strikes us as curious in the surroundings. Strange to say, the despot of Austria's past does not show up here as the representative of a political viewpoint or course of action. He has only his name to thank for his appearance in the dream. During the analysis hour that followed, the patient and I dissected the name and got Metternich, an Anglo-German sentence meaning, I did not meet her. Doesn't it sound like a bad joke? And do not suppose that this instance of analytic interpretive technique stands alone. It is built up like many thousand more. The dream reminds us of how, as children, we played with words in the same way. We seem to feel pleasure that the dream has succeeded in saying what it wanted to say, not only in such a hidden form, but also in so condensed a concentrated a manner. Let me recall what I have already said about the significance of the factor of economy and surprise. It appears here in the form of condensed expression. In analysis, too, the effect of surprise is secured by suspending the forces of suppression and inhibition. Only a superficial mind could expect that the analogy between analytic interpretation and wit could be confined to their formal aspect. A comparison of the mental dynamics in both cases shows that there is an inner likeness between analytic explanations and jokes. I recall, for instance, that in anyone listening to a joke, there is enhanced preparedness for inhibition that is recognized. There is enhanced preparedness for inhibition that is recognized to be superfluous and released in laughter. I have already shown how originally it was a case of shock, of an encounter with a former fear that is suddenly made actual and overcome in the mind. A man who hears a witty remark laughs like someone who gets a sudden shock and realizes that at once that he need not be alarmed. Not, indeed, in the same, but in a similar manner, the analysis communications produce a kind of shock in the patient. For a moment, his preparedness for inhibition is enhanced and then slowly overcome. Here, then, is a psychoauthoritic effect common to the analytic process in wit. The fact that the patient often has to laugh when his analysis tells him about the repressed impulses lying at the root of his neurotic symptoms and troubles bears witness to this effect. There are three parties to a joke. The party of the first part is the man who tells it. The party of the second part is the subject, the butt of the joke. And the third party is the hearer and the man whom the joke is told, the man who laughs. Yes, so that former paragraph, everything, the sudden shock, the laughter, recognition, all of that happens every day, really, for many. I guess some say that for some say it's not common for them, but it becomes common maybe later on, I don't know. Yeah, and then you can always be the teller, the butt, or the one laughing at any given moment, really. And to take too much identity to each one or offense, it's silly, really, or onus too. Guilt or pride. Just let it be. Sure, exactly. And also, right, walk around the puddle if you can. Of course. Don't be stupid, right? The patient in analysis experiences the laugh. That is, he is the third party in a joke, in spite of the fact that the subject of the psychological surprise is himself. But notice, it is an alienated part of his ego. The second party, who is the butt of the joke. Let us consider, moreover, what laughter at one part of the ego means. It indicates that the patient is capable of looking at something he has hidden away for a lifetime and is acknowledging it as something familiar. Let me carry the comparison a little further still, keeping this surprise element in mind. The comparison is in itself surprising enough, so surprising that some colleagues have admonished me that it ought to be excluded from the field of serious scientific labors. Others, on the contrary, have told me that I was reading into the joke process too much, that it was not there at all, and others again that it was a question of minor common features resulting from the fact of a common origin, but that they did not apply beyond a very narrow sphere.